Good day, Kathy. This is Frederick, and this is a re-recording of the things that I think you don't have, of the exercises that we were playing with, and I hope you'll have a chance to use this tape well while you're out in the country. Of course, the pieces of equipment that you've been using are a mat, also the roller, the big ball, and the chair. During our sessions, we've started with work in the seated position on a chair, the little tiny chair that you have in the room there. And the idea was that you are seated in the chair, and with the soles of the feet in contact with the floor, the movement will be of the thigh bone, the femur, moving towards the knee and then returning towards the hip. As you do that, please do the following. So once you're seated in the chair, as you're seated there, think of your left leg, and with the sole of the left foot on the floor, move the left thigh bone in the direction of the knee, and then return the left thigh bone towards the hip, and do that several times. As you do, moving the left thigh bone in the direction of the knee, and then returning. Uh, Begin to think of different things as you do it, and notice that it's a different process internally if you think of the thigh bone moving away from the hip towards the knee, and then moving away from the knee towards the hip. And feel that. So you can think of the knee going forward and back. You can think of the hip going forward and back. You can think of the hip going forward towards the knee and away from the knee. You can think of the knee going forward and then coming backward. Lots of variations there, and play with that and see how that re-informing yourself or giving yourself new information with the movement, how that enhances the activity. And then, of course, you can do that on the other side, and please do at your leisure. As you continue stopping the tape at any time, bring your attention now down to the feet, and recall the idea of propelling having the knee go forward and the knee go backward. I'm sorry, messages are coming on to my machine while I'm talking to you. Have the knee go forward and back, and think of pulling and pushing with the sole of whichever foot is corresponding to the knee that's moving. So if it's the left knee going forward and back, when would the left foot glue to the floor, pull the floor towards the area under the buttock, and then push the floor away? Now again, the foot doesn't actually move, but there's a sensation of pulling and pushing, and see how that echoes through you. Of course, you'll do this also on the right side. You can stop the tape at any time, and then please put those two ideas together. With the feet glued to the floor, have one knee go forward as the other goes back, the other knee go forward, the other go back, and get creative inside yourself and think, okay, what are the other areas of yourself that are moving? Maybe something in the hip joints, the thigh bones, the feet glued to the floor. Of course, if this begins to create too much rotation in your back and it's painful, immediately stop. Great. And you can pause this tape again at any time. Another series that we did that was very successful that leads to better walking is if you're on your back with the roller underneath your back. You've been doing an exercise for a while now where you massage your back with the roller. You can do that a few times. That's wonderful to give you some relief and massaging of the musculature of the back. And then once you've done that, keep the pelvis elevated. Again, the bottoms of the feet are on the floor. You're facing the ceiling. And have the roller underneath your back, the horizontal way, of course. And then once you're there with the pelvis in the air, notice that you're doing some work just to sustain yourself in this position. And then feel what fires when, one at a time, you take one knee towards your chest, bring the foot back to the floor, and then the other knee towards your chest, and see what muscles you engage to stabilize here. There'll be some consistent activity going on through the abdomen or your core. And then there'll be a variation, of course, as one leg is stabilizing and the other leg is pressing into the ground. So play with those ideas. There you go. And only do as much as feels comfortable for you. Then let that go, and you can repeat that. You can even do that twice a day if you want to. All right, so let's get rid of the roller now and move on to the next exercise. In the side lying position, side lying fetal position with your knees in at a 90-degree angle and the hips at a 90-degree angle. You did a stretch where you opened up the chest towards the ceiling. In other words, your knees stay where they are, and you lean backward. If you're lying on your left side, you'd have your right shoulder go backward towards the floor. I think you do actually a different stretch before that, but this one is fine. And once you're in that position, feeling the stretch, you can elevate your right hand and come back down. Again, your knees are angled to the left. Your pelvis is is a side line. You're on your left hip. You've turned your chest towards the ceiling as you're lying on your back. The right hand is way out back behind you. And listen to the engagement of your right chest or pectoral muscle as you take the right hand towards the ceiling and then back down. Sense that. Forward and then return. There you go. And then you can let that go and draw the knees up towards your chest and ease out the back and take the knees in the other direction. Once your knees are off, as you lie on your back, turn the knees to the right, 90-degree angle, at the hip joint and at the knee joint, and then turn your chest to face the ceiling, and now your left arm can be outstretched back behind you. Once you're there, lift the left arm a little bit away from the floor and then return. You might want to place the fingertips of your right hand on board your left chest so you can feel the engagement of those muscles as you do that. Lifting the hand a little bit and then returning. So recall that from before. That was a little challenging for you to feel that, and then you go, oh yeah, I got it. Great. And then let that go, roll on to your back. And if you like, you can bring the knees up into your chest as that gives you some relief in the back. Excellent. Another stretch that you do, which we added another idea to, was in the back lying position. If you are simply lying on your back and then you turn your knees to the side, is that correct? Yes, you turn your knees to the side and then you extend one leg out long. And when you did that with me, initially it felt like it was fine to move the knee that's closest to the ceiling a little bit more towards the ceiling and then return. You did it a few times and it felt great, and then it caused some pain in your back. But if you engage your abdomen here, so as you're lying on your back, you turn your knees to the left side. Once you're there, you'll feel the preliminary stretch. This will work on the muscle that's called the glute medius, the gluteus medius on the right side. If you lift your knee a little bit away and then return and engage your abdominals, if you're wearing a girdle wrapped around your waist, that was pain-free for you, and I think that'll be a winner. You can do this several times. And then, of course, you'd go to the other side. You're on your back. You take your knees to the right. So now your left knee is closest to the ceiling. And in this position, feel the stretch. And when you lift your left knee, before you lift it, engage your abdomen, lift the knee a little bit, and then lower it a little bit, and feel the engagement of the left gluteus medius, the buttock muscle on the outside that gives you what is called abduction or abduction of the hip. You can even use your left hand and listen with the fingertips of your left hand to what's happening in the left buttock here and feel how it engages. Great. And then let that go, and you can draw the knees up into your chest and give yourself a stretch and let that go. Nice. And then the next exercise that we did was on the wall with the rubber ball. If you find a place where there's some room around you, so you don't have the half the foot on the lip of the bathroom door and all that sort of thing, on the lip of the bathroom, whatever that's called, on the ground there. And if you put the ball behind you and you start in an upright position, and then you lower your torso towards the floor. So in other words, you're leaning against the ball, and the ball's against the wall, and you're approaching going into a seated position and then returning back into the upright position. And forget about when you're pushing and pulling, because that was very confusing for you. And just lower yourself down to the ground and then do what you need to inside yourself to press yourself back up into the up position of standing. And do that a few times and feel what happens through the legs. And something we didn't do in person, but I think you can add to this now, is if you think, you know what, I'm going to have more weight in the right leg, And then the next time I'm going to have more weight in the left leg and see how you can control or recalibrate how much musculature is firing when you do this compared to that. Excellent. So play with all of these exercises, and if you have questions, I'm around. In addition, Josh is available during the time when you're first back in New York and I'm still away, and I can help coordinate your seeing him. I have his information, and of course you've met him already, so I think that would be a winner. And if you have any questions about these exercises, if something's not clear, let me know. I'm thrilled that you're able to now go 2 blocks of walking and that also you're pain free in the ankle. I think that's a fabulous victory. And I think that Josh will do a great job of eliminating the pains. Well, the ankle stuff seems to be totally gone now, but also finding a way to have the back and the shoulder have more ease. The left shoulder I noticed was less painful also, and that was our goal last time. I wish you the best, and let's keep in touch. Bye bye now.